So no word is more associated with the American experiment than the word freedom. It's really been our rally call and the promise which unlocked a potential that never been seen before in this world. And in the process, it helped create the greatest nation in the history of the planet. But I got to tell you, it's still a nation of men and women, which means we have distinct human vulnerabilities. The Constitution was crafted as a way really sort of to check those vulnerabilities and natural instincts. But it too has also had to be protected from the very people who enjoy those freedoms that it provides. So it's a word that every politician uses. And by the way, of course, you're going to be hearing a lot between now and November. They use it at every turn, and yet, they will proclaim to embrace it while their words and actions are often the antithesis of what the framers of the Constitution intended in the first place. You know, one of the most famous speeches on the topic was delivered during a State of the Union by President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. This was January 6, 1941. And the speech laid out what became known as the four freedoms, right, where Roosevelt felt that people all over the world ought to enjoy. You have the freedom of speech, the freedom of worship, the freedom from want, and the freedom from fear. Now, sadly, the first freedom, speech, it is under greater siege in America right now than maybe at any other time in history. I mean, it's not just the cancel culture either, folks. And what we saw with social media during the last presidential campaigns, it's even happening in Congress, where it reared its ugly head yet again yesterday. RFK Jr., I mean, he was slammed. I mean, he was blocked, he was interrupted, he was chastised, he was insulted. And these are by his own political party. They were there to censor him yesterday. And here's the real irony. All of this came during a hearing on censorship. Well, RFK Jr. did push back. Take a listen.
Censorship is antithetical to our party. It was appalling to my father, to my uncle, to FDR, to Harry Truman, to Thomas Jefferson, as the chairman referred to. It is the basis for democracy.
So after that, folks, later on during the break, Hillary Vaughn, our own Hillary Vaughn from Fox News, she tried to get an explanation for the behavior from these Democrats. Take a watch.
I don't think you want to bring bigots before the Congress, but apparently that's par for the course with this majority.
We were trying to make sure that he didn't cause more harm with his outrageous testimony.
I don't think he's being censored. He can say whatever he wants and wherever he wants, but he doesn't get a right to testify before a committee of Congress.
Oh, that's not censorship. Censorship would not be allowing someone to speak. He can speak. That doesn't give him necessarily the ability to have to do it in the halls of Congress.
All right, so listen to this, folks. He can speak, but he can't cause harm. RFK Jr. is now a bigot? I mean, did you hear some of those comments? You know, interestingly, the behavior of Democrats can also be traced back to what we saw yesterday to that for freedom speech. And it would be the one that I've always bothered me, this so-called freedom from want. That part of Roosevelt's speech was not sourced in the Constitution. Instead, it was a progressive idea about the role of the state, not to be confused, by the way, with the pursuit of happiness, which isn't guaranteed, by the way. What it is that, listen, we get out of bed every day and drives human nature, right? I mean, we want to build a better mousetrap. We need that motivation. We want things, so we go out and we do things, especially when we're doing it for people we love or we're doing it for our country. To cede this role to our government is to cede what makes us unique. It's what propelled America to the top of the heap. This young country came out of nowhere and it dominated, and it still does. Now, on that notion, what we need to do and what we want to do right now is to bring back freedom of speech, especially in the chambers of Congress, but also in the town halls, in the town squares around the world and around the country. You know, we had a lot of folks who were censored. We had a lot of people who were shot down for opinions over the last couple of years, during the presidential thing, during the COVID thing. And now we're learning that, by the way, here's the sadness. So many of those things that people were concerned about, so many things that they worried about, that they were shot down, that they were canceled over, all those things turned out to be not only real good concerns, but they were true. They were really true. So when someone says that RFK Jr. can't go to Congress because he may cause harm, it's nuts. Free speech never caused harm.